Okay, good.
Got
So,
it.
yeah. All right. Well, hello, everybody. This is Cathy Cocazella. I'm excited to be with you guys today. I know some of you are going to be watching the video later. And I wanted to start off with a little bit of recognition. A little bird told me a few great things. So, Christy, you let me know if I missed any of this. But so Noelle Shannon has personal sales of 5,048, which is amazing. Heather Sargent, team sales of 9,000. Is that right?
It was yesterday.
Okay, and on track to promote to advanced director. Way to go, Heather. That's super exciting. Stephanie has 4,500 personal sales, 10,000 in team sales. And of course, this is a rebuild month and she's totally not even using that. So that's very cool. She promoted Bobby Joe St. Clair on May 1st, who is also leading a green team of over 5,000. Wow, that's fantastic. Angela Setti, 4,218 personal sales. Lorene Robertson, 8,075 team sales. Heather Sargent, 2 recruits. Personally, 4 team recruits. And let's see what else here. Oh, and Heather is only $150 away from promoting to director.
Heather has a person that's only one person away, and they're already recruited.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So she'll be promoting a new director, and for those, that's Jessica Alasasis.
Ooh,
I didn't want to give Cathy that because I didn't want you to worry about how to pronounce that.
Oh, I could say Cocazella. I could handle that.
And this gal is in Japan and is flying to this gal is from Japan, is in Japan, and is flying to conference.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
How $1,400 for her ticket.
You got it going. How much was it?
$1,200. She added another stop to see her sister, so it was $1,400 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, so did I miss anything?
Well, since I sent you those stats yesterday, Stephanie Barr is over 5,000 in personal sales too.
Okay, way to go. All right, let's see who else is on here that I haven't seen yet. Oh, there's Noelle. Noelle, my pool partner. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Oh, I see Myra is on and Christy
Westbrooks.
Oh, Christy Westbrooks. Okay, fantastic. I see she's on mute on her iPhone, so maybe she's driving somewhere. All right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with all of you, and we're going to get started. All right? Okay. Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. I am super excited to be talking to you guys. Christy and I were chatting and we were talking a lot about just creating culture and having a really strong culture with your team and just kind of the different levels of leaders, leaders that are directors, leaders, that are leaders and leaders that are inspirational leaders. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. Now, some of this you might have heard before. Or a little bit about it, but we do this because we realize how important it is for people to adapt it. And it's just like you guys, you never stop talking about bookings, you never stop talking about recruiting. The reason we keep talking about these things is to continue to drive that culture with all of you, okay? So if you have background noise, you might want to go ahead and mute for now, and then if we have, we'll have an opportunity to stop and have you guys jump in and chat, but I'm trying to cover a lot of stuff in an hour. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I think this will be a lot of fun for you guys. So first of all, that's what I was supposed to put up when I was doing the recognition. So I already am behind. So what I wanted to talk about first is just kind of what is possible in Pampered Chef. And 2019 has already been a great year so far. We have grown in sales and recruiting and director development, and so much is happening. As you guys know, the last several years have been filled with growth. And part of what has happened is having people be involved in lead has made a big difference. So I wanted to share something that is really pretty impressive. And this is a group of people. We just randomly kind of selected 9 people that we know have had a lot of growth. There's lots of other people that are on this sheet that have had growth. But I want to help you guys understand what a difference a year can make. And that's what I want you to be thinking about, is where do you want to be a year from now? Because creating culture kind of starts with you really thinking about where do you want to be. So let me just show you guys on this chart. Now, I don't know if you guys, can you see my mouse? I'm going to kind of use it as a pointer. It's on leader number 1. Okay, perfect. And so leader number 1, she had 1 person on her team in October of 2017. I believe she actually signed up in October of 2017. And in October of 2018, she had 105 people on her team. She went from organizational sales, which of course was just her organization, of 1,956 to 78,934 in 1 year. All right, is there anybody who'd be interested in doing that? Just raise your hand. All right, nobody? Then, all right, the seminar's over. No, I'm kidding. All right, so she had no directors on her team and now has 8. And as a matter of fact, is working towards executive director right now. I know who this person is. Her income, look at that. It went from $441,000 to $9,145. That is 1 month in October 2017 versus 2018. So what I like to tell people to do when you look at this chart is look at where are you at? What is your income? Do you have 10 people or less? Do you have 30? Where are you closest to? And look at that level and see where you could be. All right, so maybe if you're a newer leader, you have 10 people on your team. Would you be interested in going from $1,600 a month to $10,000? So this is what 8 and 2 will do for you. If you are consistently having those 8 shows a month and 2 recruits every single month, that is what we attribute this success to. All right, so obviously you guys know this. I'm preaching to the choir. You've all been with Pampered Chef for a while, but you know, overage is key. So making sure that you always overbook, you over-recruit, you over-contact, you know, you're always reaching more contacts than you need to be reaching, right? I know there are a lot of people reaching for goals in these last few days of the month, and the number of contacts people are making in these last few days have far outweighed what they've done the entire month of May. And so I want people to start developing a habit of consistency. You know, consistency, John Maxwell talks about consistency a lot, and he says it is probably one of the most underrated words in business. But consistency is really the key. You know, when somebody's describing you, if I was talking about Stephanie and going, wow, she's amazing, and she's, you know, a strong seller, and, you know, she's just really determined and has a lot of passion, people love being described that way, right? But if I just said, ooh, Stephanie Barr, boy, she's consistent. It doesn't sound really sexy, right? But it is such an important word. So that's something I want you guys to think about, that is these people had consistency. They're not just, you know, shooting for things at the end of the month. And trust me, sometimes they do. We all have been there and done that. But they're remaining consistent with their contacts and their bookings and their recruiting and working with their team. So let me just drop down here to leader number 6. So this person had 56 people in her organization and went in 1 year to 235, from 67,000 to 185,000. In 1 month, that's more than double. From 1 leader to 16. From 6,000 in income, she doubled that to 12,968. Now, a lot of people would argue that, okay, but what when your team is really big and you have, you know, 300 or 600 on your team? Look at the last 2. They went from 11,583 to 18,000, and from $16,602 in income to 22,778. All right, so does this inspire anybody? All right, so I would like you guys to unmute and look at where is it you want to be? What is your current team size? And just share with me where you'd like to be. All right, Stephanie, you want to go first?
Sure.
Well, I like leader 3. That seems closest to where I am right now and kind of what I'm shooting for this year.
Okay, fantastic. That would be you'd be happy with $5,522 monthly income, right?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Yeah, I'll take it. Okay, Noelle, how about you? Do you know what your in count is?
I'm kind of there at leader 3 also. I think that's pretty close to where I'd like to be.
Okay, great. All right, Carrie, how about you?
I'm closer to leader 2 right now.
Okay.
And that looks about where I'd like to be also. Have anything can happen.
Yeah. And the
Would,
interesting thing is leader 2 is making more money than leader 3 right now. So maybe we all need to move to leader 2. All right, great. All right, Amira, I don't know if you can unmute. All right, and who's on the 253 number? Do you know who that is, Chris?
I think it's one of our Washington directors, and I'm going to guess Kimberly Irwin.
Yeah.
Hey, Kim. All right, can she unmute and talk?
I'm on the phone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I can't see anything. I'm just on the phone. So
Oh,
any of your
shoot.
visual.
Okay. All right. No worries. No worries. What's your in count? Do you know what your in count is?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, that's something you should check out and just see where you're at, because it's pretty inspiring when you look at this to see where you could be. All right. So how about Christy?
Westbrooks. Is Christy, are you still on here? I can't see her. Does anybody see if Christy's still there?
Yeah, she's still there,
Okay.
but she's muted. So she might be unable to respond.
Okay.
Okay, Myra. Can Myra unmute? There she is.
Hey guys, I'm at work, so I really am kind of limited as to what I can
Okay,
say.
I totally get it. No
But I
worries.
can watch, and I'm on lunch break. So
Okay, great. All right, Heather Sargent.
She just walked in and grabbed us, so I don't know if she knows what we're doing.
I don't.
Okay, so Heather, what is your team size right now? How many people?
21?
Okay, 21. So you're right between leader 2 and 3. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we were talking about the difference a year makes by having 8 shows every month and 2 recruits. And leader 2, if you look all the way to the right, went from $1,600 in income to $10,000, and leader 3 went from $3,000 to $5,000. So did any of those incomes sound interesting to you or appealing to you?
Just a little bit.
So where would you like to be in a year?
Oh, absolutely leader 2.
Okay, very good. All right, anybody else that I missed? I know some people are not able to unmute.
I'll take leader 8.
I was going to say, Christy, you're next. So what is your in count, Christy? Do you know?
Very close to 400.
Okay, wonderful. So that sounds like a really good plan. All right. So I just hope that inspires you, because, you guys, I want you guys to make sure that you understand the income possibilities. And until you're willing to really let your imagination run wild and think about it, a lot of these people never thought about it until they got into lead and realized that this is something they could do. And you don't have to be in lead to make this happen, although I know many of you have been in lead or lead plus. You just have to commit to the goal. So let's move on. And what I want to do is talk about what will your business look like on December 31st, 2019. And I actually want you guys to write down a couple of things as to what you want your business to look like, right? So I want you to think about you know, the fact that you could be one of these people on this chart, that you could be recognized on this chart. And I want you to write down any goals that you want to write down. So just take a minute to do that. And you might want to consider, like, what will your title be? What would you like your team size to be, your organizational size? How many shows a week do you want to be doing? We know a lot of people are actually doing 4 virtuals a week is kind of the focus of those people that are really growing fast. They're getting their new consultants started with 4 virtuals a week. What do you want your income to be? All right, so I see that some people are still writing, but we're going to go ahead and just have a couple people share. Stephanie, do you want to start us off?
All right. So I will be a senior director.
I like it.
I'm going to continue with my current show schedule, which is I average about 24 a month.
Okay.
I do 2 sets of 12 of the virtual parties.
Okay.
I would like to earn, 4,000 to 5,000 a month would be good.
Okay.
I plan on earning the elite Disney trip.
Nice.
And that's all I have.
Okay, well, that is plenty. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Those are exciting goals, and think how cool it will be to be elite Disney. Have you ever earned an elite trip?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Was it elite Hawaii?
No, I wish. I earned the elite San Diego trip. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very fun. Nice.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. Good. Okay, great. Who else would like to share? Don't be shy.
I will. Title senior director is where I'd love to be by the end of the year. Doing 8 shows a month and income 4,000 to 5,000 a month would be awesome.
Okay. And what would 4,000 to 5,000 a month do for you, Noelle?
I could get my new car quicker.
What kind of car are you going to get?
I'm going to get I haven't decided which one, but I've started looking at them. I'm going to get a mid-size SUV, just a mid-size, kind of downsize from the minivan, since I have no kids at home now. I don't need that.
Oh, I know. You don't have to drive the mom car now, right? Yeah, very nice. So you got to figure out which one it is. Go take a picture of it, get in it. Have the guy at the dealership take your picture. He's going to think you're nuts, but you'll probably sell him some Pampered Chef, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, good. Who else wants to share? Heather looks like she wants to share.
I can share.
Okay.
So, I am going to use Stephanie's cue here. I'm going to be an advanced director at the end of the year.
Okay.
Hoping to at least double my team to 40. I'm hoping to do 8 cooking shows a month and then 16 virtual shows.
Okay.
And I would love it to have the 5,000 income a month.
Okay.
That'd be great.
And what would that do for you?
Other than just maybe extra vacations right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. I'd have to give that more evil plan thought.
Yeah, you should think about that. I like that. All right, very
What
good.
level did Heather say she cut out there for me?
She, as far as her sales?
No, was it advanced director?
Yeah.
Heather, you're going to be advanced director in about 3 days.
I was just going to say, wait now, is this the Heather that's going to be it? Okay, so Heather, you got to stretch yourself, my friend.
Okay. Right above that, senior director.
There you go.
Dang it. Cathy, call me out.
Doable. With what you've done so far, that's totally doable. Absolutely.
And she has 2 other people working on directorship.
I love it. Well, thanks for calling her out, Christy. I need you for that. Okay, good. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on here. So you guys have probably seen these 4 pillars of belief, passion, skill, and will. And what I always like to tell people is you will determine your own level of success. You are the one that gets to decide, but it is based on your belief, your passion, your skill, and will. So we know that for belief, you have to believe in yourself, right? That's really important. And there are some days when we have hard days, but in general, we just got to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and, find that belief and dig deep. Believing in others is also really important, and believing in the company. Your belief can make such a difference. Passion is really about the energy that you kind of throw out to people, because I believe that what you throw out to people really comes back to you, right? And so the more passionate you are, the more, that just kind of comes right back to you. So that's why I always tell people you are responsible for your own success, right? And we all have ups and downs and tough things that happen. I know there are people on this team that are going through some tough things right now. And I also know that people can really, push through that and to still be able to have the income that they need for their family. And then we have skill. And this is about, that we need to learn to figure out what skills do we need to do well to be successful. And you all are pretty experienced. I know we have some newer people, but I think you guys know about those skills. But you also don't ever want to be complacent. You also want to make sure that you're always stretching yourself. I've been in this industry for over 30 years, and I'm constantly trying to learn new things and get new certifications and better myself, because if my job is to pour into all of you, I need to increase my skills as well. And then that takes us to will. So I'm just curious what you guys feel like will really means. Anybody want to jump in and say what they feel like will is all about?
It's your get up and go.
Get up and go. That works for me. I always say will is about taking action. This is about getting off the couch when you don't want to, right? And you can't just work your business when you feel like working your business. That's something that John Maxwell talks about, and many of you know that I received that certification as a speaker, coach, and trainer with the John Maxwell team. And so I get to hear John speak a lot. And one of the things that he talks about is, that you can't just work on the days that you feel like it. I remember one day my husband and I had this argument, and I was pretty young in the business, and I was just kind of down that we'd had an argument. And, don't worry, I've been married for 34 years, so we're all good. But I remember when he came home and I said, this is so unfair because, it's hard for me to get on the phone and be happy and call people, when, I've had a day like this. And he said to me, well, Cathy, you're going to have to learn to separate that. He goes, don't you think I have to do that? I mean, I've been upset about our argument too. And he said, but if I'm at work and I'm distracted, I could get killed. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's true. My husband at the time was an electrician. So you know what? You cross a few wrong wires, you could be in trouble. So it was a great lesson that I learned from my husband that day, that sometimes you have to compartmentalize and just set that aside and go out and do your job and be consistent in your job, even though you don't want to do it, right? So what I want you guys to think about is, what are your day-to-day habits? And if this is something you need help with, one of the books I tell people to read is called Today Matters. And it is a book by John Maxwell. And it's really talking about how each and every day what you do will make a difference in your business. It's about, sometimes people feel like intense effort really works. How sometimes you just need to be intense for 3 days and pull it off. And trust me, we all have times like that in our business. But it's the day-to-day that's really going to make the difference. So there's a saying that says consistency beats intense effort every time. Consistency beats intense effort. It's kind of like if you want to lose weight, you know, for national conference. I don't recommend on July 15th that you start eating healthy. I recommend you start eating healthy now, right? Because they're like, I'm just going to drink water and celery juice and work out every day for the next 10 days. All right, that's not the way to do it. So we have to think about that like in our business as well. So that's what I want you guys to be thinking about is what are you doing day to day, week to week, and month to month? All right, so before we get into culture, I want to talk to you about the wisdom of Oz. And the reason I want to start with this is because this is really about personal accountability, which is an act of will. Has anybody read The Wisdom of Oz? Okay, Chris has, Noelle has, I can't see everybody else's hand, but Stephanie has. Okay, good. So this is a great book. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to go forward so quickly. So we introduced this book about a year and a half ago to our execs, and I know a lot of people introduced them to their team. But the author of this book talks about personal accountability being an act of will. And so what is required is that you live above the line. Now, I've been talking about live above the line in a little bit of a different sense, really all of my career, because I'd heard something similar to this very early on. But in living above the line, what it is all about, you see this part up here on the top, it says, see it, own it, solve it, do it. This is really a very simple plan to accountability. And the first thing is we're seeing things as they actually are, right? You're looking at it objectively. I did a call with a couple of people the other day and asked, okay, how many shows a month are you doing? And, you know, how many recruits? And then we pulled up their numbers and they were off by a whole lot. So the first thing is what they thought they were doing and what they were actually submitting every month was a very different picture. So you have to see things as they actually are and really look at it objectively. And then you need to own it. And to own it, you need to understand what is your part in this, right? What are you doing to cause the success or the lack of success in your business, right? So you have to own it. What are you doing to cause the success or lack of success in your business? The next thing is you have to solve it. So what can you do differently to get results? And that's something important to think about, because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same thing, right? You guys have heard that before. So what can you do differently to get results that you're really looking for? And then once you solve it, then it's important that you, do it. This is just the taking action kind of piece, right? So that's what we really want to focus on. And then if you look at the graphic below that, this is what living below the line means. And I think we all can go there. Sometimes, we have a bad day, we have a bad month, we have some difficult things happening in our life. But the thing is, we don't want to stay there, right? So the goal with this is if you go below the line, you want to get above the line as soon as you possibly can. And I found myself in this place before. I found myself in this place about 3 months ago, just kind of had a personal thing happen to me, and I felt like I was unfairly treated and unjustly treated, and it was a really bad situation that I, was going through with, in this personal situation. But I was definitely playing the blame game instead of thinking about what I could do. And so the author calls this living below the line the blame game. All right. So this is when you're like, well, I'm going to wait and see. Let's just see how things turn out, right? Instead of taking control. That's the blame game. Confusion. I'm just so confused. I just need someone to tell me what to do. Well, sometimes we just need to stop, get our mind organized, get our stuff organized, and we need to figure out what to do. Now, there's nothing wrong with mentorship and getting help, but, taking that ownership. It's not my job is another one of the ways that you're living below the line. All right, let's just go that extra mile and do what it takes. And then ignoring or denying. maybe something has happened and you're just going to kind of play the silent game or ignore it, or that maybe you're dropping more people than you're recruiting, and you're like, oh, it's going to get better. But unless you are intentional, it's not, right? Finger pointing, right? You guys have heard the whole thing of, if you're pointing your finger at somebody else, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. So this is living below the line, or covering your tail. If something's not right, maybe you're sharing why that's happening and kind of trying to justify that. And again, we're all human. We all get there. But the point is to try to get above the line as soon as you possibly can. So this is how the authors describe this principle, the Oz principle, which is a thin line that separates success from failure, great organizations from ordinary ones. Below the line lies excuse-making, blaming others, confusion, and an attitude of helplessness. While above the line, we find a sense of reality, ownership, commitment, solutions to problems, and determined action. If you don't have that and you want to take a snapshot of this right now, you should, because I think that is such a great reminder for all of us. And when I was in this mode and I was blaming everybody else, I just thought, I have to take control of the situation. What is it that I can do to turn this around? Because like I said, we're all responsible for our success or lack thereof. So I just love that quote. So to continue on with this, they use the example of the characters in the Wizard of Oz, and they help describe this. So remember, the first one was see it. The cowardly lion had to muster up the courage to see it. So the question you need to ask yourself, what is the reality I most need to acknowledge? So you can take a snapshot or write that question down. All right. Maybe it's something that's very positive, like this is going really well. I got to figure out what made this go well, and I got to do more of it with more people. Maybe it's something that's not going well. And so you need to address, what is it I need to acknowledge on my team? Something that needs to change, something that's confusing, something that's not working. So that's the see it question. The next question is own it. And this is the Tin Man. He had to find the heart to own it, right? So again, how are you contributing to the problem and or the solution? How are you contributing to the problem and or the solution? All right, that's the Tin Man. The next one is the Scarecrow, and he had to obtain the wisdom to solve it. All right, so this is where you really have to dig deep, get into your imagination, and think about, what else can I do? And I'll tell you what's so powerful is if you brainstorm this with somebody else and you're trying to think of what is new or different, or maybe something that I've done in the past that I'm not doing now. What else can I do is to solve a problem? And then, of course, Dorothy was the leader of the pack, and she had to exercise the means to do it. She was the leading people on her team, these characters. I guess I don't know if they're really people, but these characters, on how to do it, right? And so who is accountable to what and by when? Now, I know some people have a problem with this when you're working with your team, of holding your team accountable. Has anybody ever struggled with this, or am I the only one? I used to struggle with this a long time ago about holding my team accountable, and I have what I call WCS. And I don't know if you guys know what that is. Anybody know what WCS is? It's a terrible thing. It's called Wimpy Coach Syndrome. All right. And this is when somebody would say, oh, I wanted to do it, but I couldn't because, my dog broke his toenail and it was bleeding. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is he okay? Oh, I'm so sorry. Instead of just saying, oh gosh, I'm sorry that happened, but let's talk about where you were at. Right. And so the reason that was hard for me is I'm really a people person. Right? But here's what I learned is when my director said to me, here's the thing, Cathy, what you have to understand is when you don't hold people accountable, what you're basically saying to them is, I don't care about you or your goals. And I was like, why don't you just stab me in the heart instead? Because that was hard for me to hear. So the truth is, when you are holding people accountable to what they say they want to do, you are helping them succeed. So as you guys start to think about what you want your culture to be, I want you to think about these 4 steps of see it, own it, solve it, and do it. All right, so that's important to think about as you start to focus on this. So now I want you guys just to kind of embrace really what we focus on is the definition of leadership at the Pampered Chef. And it's my job to help people do this. And the role of a leader at Pampered Chef is to build a large and productive personal team from which you continually promote new directors and help them promote and level. All right, so you're building the large productive team, you promote directors, you help them do the same thing. And so what I like to say is then the purpose continues. Our purpose of enriching lives, one meal, one memory at a time, just lives on. And I think there is no greater calling than helping people to reach that level of director. When you are promoting people and you're helping people to become leaders, it just is amazing what we can do as a team. So how do we do that? So let's talk about through inspirational leadership, how you do that. And you guys know that we have 3 types of leaders. We have directors, we have leaders, and we have inspirational leaders. So what do you think about how they differ? And the first is that directors direct. And as soon as I used to promote a director, the first thing I would say is just because you're a director doesn't mean you start directing, right? Because what they did is they spent all their time telling everybody else what to do instead of working on their personal business 80% of the time. All right, so they're really good at telling others what they should do to be successful. And we all know to be a good leader, it's really about asking questions versus telling. And there's a difference between training and coaching, I understand that. But the more asking you do, the more successful team you're going to have. And then we have leaders. Leaders lead. They motivate others. They set the pace. They lead by example so that others will follow. So I kind of don't like the word motivate. I like the word inspire instead, because to me, motivation is temporary, but inspiration comes from within. So I want to challenge you to inspire others and set the pace and lead by example so that they will follow you. And then leaders also will make those choices that are hard, right? When sometimes you have to choose a path of, oh, this might be difficult to say this, you know, to this person, but they're okay to jump in and say that. You know, I think sometimes it's difficult when, you know, it's the 15th of the month and people say, I don't think I'm going to be green this month, right? And what can you do when somebody says that? I mean, you have to really think about that. They've got 2 full weeks left, so you know that they're basically giving up on that goal. All right, so what I like to do with people is I would say, oh my gosh, you got 2 weeks left. Let's put our heads together and see what we can come up with. And then they feel like, wow, you're in it. And here's the really cool part. I rarely said a thing after that. And I just let them talk. And I'd say, you know, what could we do? And then they'd start talking. And I'd go, great, love that. What else? What could we do? Great, what else? So they would come up with things, you guys, that I never would have thought of. I remember I had a gal that said, well, I guess I could, you know, call my friends at the quilting club. A, I didn't know they had quilting clubs. And B, I didn't know she was a quilter. Would I have ever been able to come up with that idea for her? No. All right. So that's what I mean by sometimes it's hard. You know, it's easy just to let people off the hook. But really, that's, again, that's saying you don't believe in them or their goals. And so you want to help people with that. And then we have inspirational leaders. Inspirational leaders really do it all. They're motivating and inspiring others. They're setting the pace, and they're leading by example. All right. The other thing that they're doing is what we say, believe, believe, believe. And we say it 3 times on purpose because they have to have that belief in themselves. They have to have that belief in others. And then they also have to teach others how to believe in themselves and transfer that to their team, right? These are people that have character, they have integrity, and they're, you know, they just have these values and it just permeates out of them. All right, and I know some people are more quiet about these things, but pouring that belief into your team, you don't have to be a cheerleader personality to make that happen. You just have to be sincere. And so that is what inspirational leaders do. The other thing that inspirational leaders do is they create a picture and a vision so clear that others can see themselves in it, right? And so when you start talking to your team, you know, Heather and Stephanie, about being advanced director, senior director, and helping them see how great this is for the team and how we are growing together and working as a team. And what I always like to say is we are locking arms. You know, we're working together to reach this goal. And you start partnering people together, and these two are going to promote together, and these two, I mean, your sense of team and family and commitment is so strong in that organization. And you guys probably know just as well as I do that your team becomes your family. I mean, you're just so strong. I think I heard Christy Westbrook say, you know, Chris McDaniel is like my second mom, right? So you guys are, you know, you're a team, and that just builds that strength. And so, you know, we also create this vision in this picture at national conference. You know, what happens when all of these leaders promote to director? What do? We bring 300, 400 people on stage together, and they're in a sea of red. And do you know how many people sit in that audience and they're like, I want to do that next year, right? So that's just one of the ways that we, you know, create that picture. So I want you guys to think about, you guys are strong sellers. I know most of you on this team are super strong sellers, and you have good show averages. You have a fun show. And why do you think that is? Because you are creating the vision for your customers. You're painting a picture. You're talking about that product with that, you know, that rock with that ooey gooey chocolate lava cake with caramel on top. I mean, they're seeing it, they're tasting it, they can see that picture. So that's the thing that you need to do with your team, is create a picture. And that's what we're going to be talking about next, is how are you going to live that role as an inspirational leader and really create that picture, and to decide today, what level are you at? Are you a director, a leader, or an inspirational leader? And what would it take to get to that inspirational leader? So you might want to just go ahead and write that down. So we're talking about creating vision and success, and I wanted to divide culture. All right, and this is a slide you might want to take a picture of, because I love the definition of culture. This is a set of shared values, goals, and practices. Shared values, goals, and practices. All right, so values are about belief, right? Your goals are about taking action, that's about will. And your practices are your day-to-day skills and habits you're implementing. So a set of shared values, goals, and practices that characterize a group, a team, or an organization. The culture is what we do and say, the way we behave, and the way we treat each other. What we do and what we say. So it's not just what you do as a leader, it's who you are. What are you saying? How do you behave? And how do you treat your team? Right? How do you treat your peers, your upline, your downline? So think about what kind of culture that you want to have. I mean, we talk about these slides a lot because we want this culture to be alive in Pampered Chef. We want people to understand that they are driving their team with culture and with vision, right? And sometimes if you let somebody else create your culture, things can go awry. You know, sometimes the loudest voice wins. And my question is the loudest voice always the best voice? Not always. Okay, I see Heather picked up on that right away. Not always. It kind of reminds me of like when you go to the grocery store and you buy that yummy, like delicious little package of strawberries, and the next day you pull it out because you're gonna, you know, throw some in your salad or whatever, and all of a sudden, you know, there's really bad strawberry in there, and like, wow, everything else looks great. What happened to the strawberry? Right? Well, do you leave that strawberry in there? No, you take it out, because what can happen? It's going to get all that stuff spreading throughout the strawberries, throughout the team of strawberries. So I want you to think about your team. And if you have something like this, you love and respect people for where they're at, but is that going to be your focus? No, you're going to focus on people that really do want your help, because you know what? They probably don't want your help if they're just, being kind of the bad one in the bunch. So I want you to think about culture. And these are the cultures that we train to at Pampered Chef. When you have these 3 cultures in your team, you are going to be successful. So teamwork and monthly activity is the first culture. So do you implement teamwork and monthly activity as a culture on your team? Does your team know that teamwork and monthly activity is one of the cultures to success? Secondly is fast-paced recruiting growth, right? So the question is, are you modeling that? And third is career plan advancement. All right. So I want you guys to think about this and how can you drive that culture on your team? And if we have some time, we'll have people throw out some ideas. All right. So what I want you to think about with these 3 cultures, let's just talk about each of these a little bit. First of all, teamwork and monthly activity. So how do you create a picture and a vision for your team that is super clear so they can see themselves as part of something bigger than themselves? So I want you to think about how you do that. All right. One of the things that we talk a lot about is, everybody working together towards a common goal. So I was just talking about this, talking about locking arms, working toward the goal. Have you set your monthly, quarterly, annual recruiting goals for your team? How many of you know your number for December, from now until December, what your goal is, recruiting goal for your team? Anybody? Okay, so set that goal. How many of you know what your organization team sales goal is for your team? Yay! I saw Heather's. I can't see y'all at the same time, so I saw Heather raise her hand. Let's see, I couldn't see Stephanie. Have you set a recruiting goal? All right, good. Sales goal? Okay. I have to come back to see y'all. I wish you could see y'all on the same page. All right. So, and then consultants being paid at their level every month. All right, you guys, so this is something we are really trying to focus on because it is so hard for people, each month when sometimes people are active, sometimes people are not, sometimes directors are green, sometimes they're not. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, they worked so hard to get to this title. You should be paid every single month in both pay periods. And when you start talking to your team about getting paid in both pay periods, then they understand it. And what's cool about this, you guys, is it doesn't matter if they just want to sell 4 food choppers every month. Their goal, more power to them, right? But you want to talk to people about being the best consultant they can be, which means always being active, right? Maybe 4 food choppers wouldn't get them there, but but close, right? So encouraging them to pick a goal and making sure they know those levels of the compensation plan. What happens at $750, $1,250? Right? What happens at those different levels, $2,500, $4,000? They get a pay increase. Do you guys point that out to them? Do they know that? And then expecting and encouraging all directors, of course, to be paid at their title every single month is really a big focus here. The other thing is thinking about your word choices and really recognizing success. They say that recognition is more important than money, right? People value recognition more than money. It just feels good. And I know people that have full-time jobs and they get paid a lot of money, but they are so, I don't want to say mistreated. Maybe some of them actually are mistreated, but they go unrecognized. And their recognition for good work is a big pile of more work, right? And it just is not fulfilling when that's happening. So you need to think about how you're recognizing your team. And as a matter of fact, with your team meetings, you should always start off with like, team sales, team recruiting sales, stand up if you were active. So you're recognizing the whole team. And at the end, then do your personal recognition. All right. You don't want that personal recognition to follow your team sales right off the bat. Because then it kind of is like, okay, you're saying everybody's fabulous, but then right away you're saying, but she's better and she's better and she's better. And that's okay. They deserve that recognition. But I would separate that and put that at the end. All right. So recognizing in your newsletters, recognizing who's green, so having your banner across your page of your team of all your leaders. And when they go green, recognizing that is really powerful. And then to really be thinking about, using your words powerfully. So if you're using words like, I and me, you need to remove those from your category, from your vocabulary. But using words like we and us and our team and together, you guys, it really makes a difference in how you're communicating to your team. All right, so I want you guys to think about what are some things that you can do to establish your teamwork and your monthly activity. And the first thing I always like to talk about is, first of all, what is your team identity? And this is where we're really talking about your personal culture of your team. All right, we talked about the 3 cultures that are linked to success, but you also have to have your personal culture. So here's an example. This is Team Kirby, and their hashtag is #BeBrave. All right, they went from Team Kirby to Team #BeBrave. And what I love is they also created this tagline, right? So, and look at all the fun little graphics that you can find, I love the little Be Brave with the goldfish with the fin on it. You can, you should, and if you're brave enough to start, you will. So all kinds of fun things. So what does your team represent? What is your team name? And when we started talking about vision boards at, gosh, I don't know, it was like 2015 or somewhere around then, we started really talking about vision boards and team names. That's when people started changing their team name. Instead of just being, Team Smith, they started really thinking about, what do you want your team to represent? So what I want you guys to do is to take a minute and think about, where's your team now? What kind of culture do you have on your team? Are they disengaged? Are they engaged? Are they excited? Are they not too excited? But more importantly, I want you to think about where you want your team to be. Where do you want your team to be? What kind of culture do you want? I want you just to write down quickly 4 or 5 words of what you would like your team to be. What kind of culture do you want to have? Think about the words that would be powerful, like successful, active, brave, hustle. I know there's a lot of team hustles out there. Thriving, team thriving. Teamwork, positive, helpful, togetherness, dreamers. So it's important to come up with your own personal culture for your team. And what I love about this is what really separates you from every other team in Pampered Chef, is that you have your own culture. Even if some people do have the same team name, you're establishing that culture, all right? And I want you to think about the tagline. What's so cool about that is, like, let's say that I join this team. And when somebody joins your team, you want to say, welcome to team, in this case, Be Brave. And we are a team where we are brave enough to go for what we want. That would be the first thing I would tell every new consultant when they join my team, right? And if somebody said that to me, I'd be going, wow, impressive, cool. I'm going to learn to be brave. I'm a little scared right now. What have I just done? I am going to be brave enough to go for what I want. I am empowered. So what is it that you can name your team and also have this little hashtag that helps people to understand, this is what we stand for. All right, so I'm going to let you guys think about that. And what I would challenge you to do is, in the next 48 hours or so, is to send that to Christy, your team name and your hashtag. And if you need help with it, feel free to message me. I think you guys all have me on as a Facebook friend, and if not, friend me and then message me, because I'm certainly here to help you guys. All right, any questions on that? Okay. All right, so when you're thinking about teamwork and activity, you want to think about different banners that you can use to really build that, and having graphics in your Facebook page and creating that engagement. And so this particular one on this team, they have the sales of the team that they're recognizing as they go. Now, my personal opinion is that this should go higher than 5,000, because 5,000 is the minimum. So I would make this go even higher, but I totally understand what she was doing. But are your team goals in front of your team? A lot of people, oh, I don't want to do that because then it's about me. I'm like, it is so not about you. It's about the entire team. And you guys, what makes people feel successful is being a part of something bigger than they are. So if you're setting these team goals, right, you're a part of something bigger than just yourself. I remember when my director was going for executive, I wanted to be somebody that helped her because she was so committed and loyal to me. I wanted to be one of her founding directors, right? So who are going to be one of the founding directors on your executive director team? You all said you're going to be senior directors by next year, but you're probably going to be executives. But that's okay. It's your goal. It's your goal. But are you putting these goals in front of them? So what I recommend you do is you take the annual goal, you break it down into a quarterly goal. Now you can talk about monthly, but here's what I want you to think about is, let's say your quarterly goal is 30 and in month 1 you get 3 recruits, right? And you, oh, what do I even do now? But you're still saying, hey guys, the goal is 30. You know what? We're 3 down. We're a little off track, but we can do this. So you admit the obvious and you go for the goal. Okay? So that's the team goals. All right, so let's talk about fast-paced recruiting growth, because I know we only have like 2 minutes. I told you, Christy, I was bad at getting through all this information. All right, so fast-paced recruiting growth, I'm gonna go very fast through that. So again, how do you create a picture and a vision for your team that's so clear that they can see themselves recruiting and building a team? All right, the first thing is you do it. How many of you have seen this slide before? All right, if you are recruiting less than 6 in a year, you're gonna be going backwards. 7 to 11, you still could struggle some months. I know that is a hard reality. 12 to 17 in a year, I'm talking January to December, you could maintain a consistent team with 12 to 17. But if you want to grow, 18 to 24 is where it's at. And lead, we talk about 2 a month, so that's 24, right? And even these brand new directors in lead, we talk about 2 months. If they could do it, you guys can do it too. They're not going to do it if you don't do it. And every single person here can do this. It's just a decision. And if you don't know how, I can help you figure that out. I know Christy can too. All right, so here's the thing. You have to set the team goals like we just talked about. How many of you ever do like a share the love board or anything like that? Track names on a freezer paper. That's how we first started doing it. I think Love Carpenter started that. You need to set those goals. You need to recognize their success, and you need to train them how to recruit and support it. All right, so let's just talk about, here's the freezer paper. All right, so this has every person that joined. Now what I would do is put the recruiter on the left, I mean the new recruit on the left and the recruiter on the right, because that recruiter needs the recognition as well. All right, or you can do the share the love board. Now again, this is the recruit in there, but I would put the recruiter underneath or around it, or somehow get both names on there. All right, because that recruiter is going to be highly motivated to see her name on this board. Now, I don't know about you guys, back in the day, we used to get newsletters in the mail from our director, all right? Chrissy probably remembers that from a while ago. First thing I would do when I'd open that newsletter is what? I'd open it up and look for my name. I know you all know it, all right? So recognition is important. This is super cute. I love the aprons, the Share the Love board. So be creative, have fun with this, but really be your whole annual goal. This should be on this board of how many recruits you guys want to have. This one's cute, isn't it? People are so much more creative than I am. All right. So I love this, sweet success. All right. So how about training and supporting this? This is my passion. This brochure is one of the most important tools in recruiting. All right. This is the back of the brochure on the right, and we don't talk about it enough. Did I do this when I was at your meeting, Christy? Talk about the opportunity brochure, the back of it? I don't know if I did. All right, so the whole idea is to make sure you talk about these 4 different categories on the back. Because this, you guys, is a lot more than just selling a quick cooker kit or a $39 kit or any kit. This is about selling the dream, and we have to do that more. So that first category talks about fund money. The second category talks about supporting the household budget. The third category talks about a big financial goal. Can you look at the income there? That's a lot of money, potentially $18,000 a month. And then the last one, a full-time income with flexibility. Teach your people to use this. The highest level there is $45,000. Would anybody be unhappy with that level? All right. And here's the thing. I will even tell people not everybody in the company earns that, but there are people in the company that do. These are real incomes based on our actual field. Now, if you're virtual, then you need to go to social. You need to go to booking and selling, and then you need to use the graphic. It's right there. They also have these fun little GIFs that play. GIFs. I know everybody calls them different things. A lot of times the first time people saw it, they were like, oh, I just thought it was this little blank thing with, a dollar amount. I didn't know what it was. So if I were you, I would use this on day 1 of your party, because that's about fun. This is about supporting the household budget. This one is the big financial goal. And this is the full-time income with flexibility. And here's the thing. Almost everybody needs a full-time income, but they need the flexibility. It is the perfect job. 50% of our sales now are virtual. So if you haven't jumped on board, you've got to, because you're losing out on 50% of the business. All right. So let's talk about support. So to support this, are you doing virtual opportunity events in your team? And maybe Christy's running them for you. Maybe you're doing them yourself, however you do it. I do think at some point when your team starts to get bigger, to do them on your own is really powerful because they get to know you. Are you guys attending our opportunity events? Those have been so powerful because we have a brand new consultant. This is, I think, the 3rd Tuesday of every month. And we have a brand new consultant with her leader. And that brand new consultant is on fire. You know how new consultants are. I jokingly, lovingly say they're like an idiot on fire. They're just like, whoa, I love Pepper Jeff. It's so great. It's so exciting, right? And you're just like, okay, let's just have a little direction here, right? But they're going crazy because they're so excited. So this is a great event, 3rd Tuesday of every month. Get people to go to that. And then, of course, having recruiting blitzes. Think about what you can do to support fast-paced recruiting growth. All right, Christy, I'm running over here. Should I just keep going, and then if people need to go, I get it? And then, because you're recording it, right?
I am recording it. What I would love for you to do is, if you could come back next month, and because I don't want you to rush this. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay, well, we have 1 category left. Do you want me to do that, or do you want me to?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, all right. You guys, I apologize. I knew this was going to be challenging to do in an hour. And I even took several slides out. This is usually a 3-hour workshop, but it's usually interactive. So, all right, so let's talk about career plan advancement, last one. And again, the question is, you guys, how do you create a picture and a vision for your team that's so clear so they can see themselves moving up the career plan, right? So you guys know the definition. We already talked about the definition of a leader at Pampered Chef. The question is, how do we do it? You have to market the career plan at all levels. And I'm talking about even senior consultant and team leader. All right. So help people to understand the benefits of getting to that level, and then director and above. And then the other thing is we need to market upper level and executive leadership. We don't talk about that as much. We talk about get to director, get to director, get to director. But helping people to understand, like advanced director is really the sweet spot where you start earning more income because you're getting 4% versus the 3%. And lots of other perks that start happening at those upper level. So if you don't know your career plan, you need to do that first. You need to make sure you're talking about fast track immediately. First call, maybe even mentioning it with new consultants. Second call, hey, would you like me to train you as a fast track director? One of the things that a lot of people are saying is, I would really love to have you earn every single thing you could possibly earn in your first 90 days. Would you like me to train you that way? And most people do not say no to that. So you want to talk to them about that $2,000 bonus. You want to have your organizational vision board. All right. And Christy, do you have one up on your, okay, so Christy has her vision board. So you guys understand the idea of vision boards. I think you've been hearing about that a long time. Recognizing those career level promotions. So this is an example of Stacy Issel's board when she first started LEAD. And this is her board now. How many of you are impressed with that? Noelle, that face was priceless. She's like, whoa. All right. So are you running a director bound program, Disney bound, whatever it is you're going to call it? If you have not done this yourself, you guys know where to get the materials under training and resources, director bound. Now, some people have adapted it because it definitely needs to be updated, and we're going to be working on some new things this fall. But you can just go here to Bound program, and all the resources are right there for you. We have consultant resources where the calls are already in each call number. You just click the little plus sign to get to that. This page to me is one of the most important pages, and trust me, people don't use it. So do you guys remember the Grow With Us brochure we used to have where you flipped through it and it was like little tabs? It was very expensive to produce, so we came up with this one. But here's what I mean about selling senior consultant, and even team leader. And I know it's hard to see here, but if you look at the blue number that is the percentage under senior consultant and under team leader, what do you see? All right, the blue number that is a percentage is 6.3%. Consultant. Team leader is 14.5%. So with every new consultant, the minute they had success, I don't care if they said they were going to book 4 shows and they only booked 1. I'd say, woohoo, you already booked your first show. Now let me tell you how you can earn a raise and a promotion. And they'd be like, what? All right, so how's that for recognition? And I would talk about senior consultant, what it was, and say, would you like 0.3% raise or a 14.5% raise? Did you guys catch that? Are you asking every single new consultant, you want a 6.3% raise or a 14.5% raise? Or director, how about a 35% raise? What do you think they're going to say? How many of you have a full-time job or ever had one? How many of you have ever gotten a 6.3 or 14.5% raise? All right, so this is a powerful sheet. And this part here really inspires people to move up in rank. This talks about the annual income averages. Now, I happen to know, even though this average says 29,000, that our top advanced director makes about 75,000, because I'm the one that created the sheet. So I do know that. So here's the thing. These are just averages. This is based on the advanced director that maybe is not really active and earning only 7,000 in a year, all the way up to somebody who's earning 75,000. So the average comes out to 29,000. So this helps people to understand what's possible. This director bound chat outline, if you want to do something one-on-one that's going to be powerful, use this outline. It literally has every word to say, how to do this, who to call, and you can do this one-on-one. All right? And so my question is, what's holding you back? And a lot of people say fear. I'm afraid to do it. Some people, it's about entitlement. Like, I shouldn't have to do it. Like, I shouldn't have to call these people. They should call me. I recruited these people, and then they didn't do anything, right? I know we've all said that before. Or perfectionism is, I'm not going to do it if I can't do it right. I've got a lot of other things going on right now in my life. So here is the cure for all of this. Action is a cure for fear, for entitlement, and for perfectionism. So that's the thing, guys. Now is the time to take action. Now is the time. I mean, you saw that chart, you guys. The numbers are there. Why wait? So remember the 3 categories. Develop your own personal culture, like I showed you with Team Be Brave. And then these are the 3 categories of culture you always want to have in your organization. And ending with our Wisdom of Oz theme, do you remember what happens at the very end when Dorothy finally sees the wizard? And basically the good witch tells her, you've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn. You just had to learn it for yourself. So she says, like, you know, well, why didn't you tell me? And she goes through this whole thing and she says, you just had to learn it. And so sometimes we just walk ourselves through this path and through this journey, and we just have to learn that we do have what it takes to be the success that we want to have. So thank you guys for staying late. I'm so sorry that we ran over. If anybody has a quick question or a comment, I'd be happy to hear it.
No, we are the ones that thank you for spending your time and investing in us.
Yes.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank
All
you.
right, guys. Well, yes, go ahead. Did someone have a question?
Oh, I just said thank you.
Welcome. All right, you guys. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing y'all at National Conference. It's going to be fantastic. You know, we have some exciting stuff happening. We've been talking about all these exciting announcements, which we talk about that every year, but I'll tell you what, this year is going to be special. These are things I've never seen happen before. So you need to call every single person on your team, and you need to say, you've got to be in the room. All right, and I'll be back there high-fiving y'all when y'all reach your next level so I can congratulate all of you, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, guys. Hey, feel free to private message me if you have any questions, and we'll be chatting soon. I know you guys are working hard to make some big goals this month, so the next 2 days will make all the difference. And you guys, I've seen great big things happen in the last 48 hours. Now, we love it that way, but sometimes it does. So, you know, just it's not over till it's over. Do the best you can. Lock arms, work as a team. I know you guys will be doing that. Great, reaching great goals. All right.
Thank you, Cathy.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye,
All right.
everybody.